With the circumstance of the lightweight division after the departure of the former king Khabib Nurmagomedov comes a new king, Charles Oliveira, and with a new king along comes a new era of challengers and challenges. After watching Makhachev vs Green this past weekend, it makes me wonder what could be next for the lightweight division. So let's take a quick look at the lightweight division as it currently stands and play matchmaker and place predictions of what fights could make sense or are in the works currently that will shift the direction of the division into a more interesting path for the champ. Let's start off with lightweight champion Charles Oliveira versus number 1 Justin Gaethje. This one is actually officially booked for UFC 274 on May 7th, so we can skip this one. Although Charles Oliveira is going to have an absolute banger with this fight, including Justin Gaethje, so this is going to be a barn burner, and we're just going to have to see who wins. Islam Makhachev versus Beneil Dariush. Although Islam claims he's getting the next title shot as he was told by Dana after winning against Green, I still think Beneil Dariush still deserves to fight Islam Makhachev. It's one of those fights where you ask who would get the best of those exchanges on the ground, whether it's ground and pound or submission attempts or even scrambling, just in general on the ground, who is better? Islam possesses a unique style of wrestling with the fundamentals of Khabib's traditional wrestling versus Dariush's slick jiu-jitsu. And if this fight doesn't end up getting booked anytime soon for some reason, it will become one of those what if fights. It'll become in the same realm as Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Tony Ferguson, the fight we never got. So we as spectators will want to know what will happen and push for this fight to happen, and they're still active. Think about it. What would have happened if Dariush showed up that night as originally planned? Ranked number 5 Michael Chandler versus Tony Ferguson. To be announced, this fight has been heavily rumored, not just by insiders, but hinted at by the fighters themselves. Tony Ferguson, he's coming to the brink of his fighting career after losses against Gaethje, Oliveira, and Dariush. He still has more spirit to compete. Is he still hungry to go for that title? Only he knows, but at this point, he's just in for the fun fights before riding off into the sunset. As for Michael Chandler, being a 3-time Bellator champion, coming into the UFC, knocking out top contender Dan Hooker in the first round to then fight for the lightweight title. Now Chandler came into the promotion guns blazing, putting on an exciting fights left and right, but couldn't come out of the rest of them victorious. So from my standpoint, he came in and made a name for himself, even though true fans know him from Bellator, riding on a 2-loss streak, though none were to be disappointed at his performance. I'm sure he will come in here against Ferguson more strategically, as he is more hungrier to gain that title again, or at least get a title shot again. Chandler still has the potential to run for the title, He just has to be more calculated, knowing the power he possesses. Once this fight becomes officially booked, it will become a highly anticipated fight to watch for the fans. Ranked number 2, Dustin Poirier versus Nate Diaz. We don't know what weight class they'll end up fighting at, 155 pounds or 170 pounds, but both are likely. And recently, Dana White came out. Actually, he didn't deny that they're not trying to put this fight together. They've actually been in the process of putting it together, just a matter of when and where. But the thing is that Conor McGregor has been in the mix as well of this potential fight because, Conor McGregor has a history with both fighters. But ultimately, Nate Diaz is on his last fight in his contract for the UFC. So, UFC and Nate would wonder, you want a perfect fight that'll send him off. And I'm sure the UFC wants that as well. Something to sell well for Nate and well for the company. Something interesting for the fans. And to me, the biggest one in Nate's whole career is a trilogy with Conor McGregor. They both have expressed interest in finishing the bitter rivalry. So thinking about that, it could be in discussion under the table. We don't know about that yet, although Dana White has came out. And Nate Diaz, since he's on his last fight, he wants something new, So Dustin Poirier will be someone new to compete against and build rivalry again. Nate Diaz does go through with the idea of going into boxing after the UFC. Who knows if Conor McGregor retires or runs out of his fights in his contract with the UFC and moves into boxing himself, then he can still continue the rivalry in the boxing ring against Nate Diaz. So the legacy is still there for them both. It's just in the UFC, Nate Diaz, seems to want something new, someone new. And, for Dustin Poirier, his former teammate, Colby Covington, though, has built attention enough for the public audience to want to see happen settled in the octagon. Thus, Dustin is interested in fighting Covington in the future, once if he decides to move up in weight class, but seems Dustin is more interested in fighting him outside of the octagon and not even give him the honor to fight in the octagon against Colby through his legacy as a feud, intensifies. Ranked number 9, Conor McGregor versus to be announced. We don't know who he's going to come against, but we do know that he is riding back on his bike. He's getting back into workout shape. He's getting back into fighting shape. And, Conor's well on his way for his long-awaited return in the octagon. He recently shared the start of his training, and he's open for challengers for his warm-up towards any title later presented, though he is more interested in fighting Charles Oliveira. Charles is already defending his title against Gaethje. Look, he has many options. He can fight whoever and whenever he wants. He has that power. It's just a matter of who is interesting and fun to see him compete against. Option 1, he could wait out the result for Oliveira and Gaethje, whether it's a win or loss from either side. It's still an intriguing stylistic matchup for Conor. Option 2, he could fight Islam Makhachev. That would be a fight to interest a lot of people actually. The style on paper is there. It's the story for this one that makes the fight more fun. The build-up between them and their history will raise the stakes for both men. Islam has to solidify the rivalry between Conor and Khabib and prove he is better than Conor, and Conor would want to avenge his loss, avenge against the team that took away so much from his legacy in the sport. The beef is there, it's seasoned already. Once it's fully cooked, everyone will eat it and people will watch. It's a metaphor, by the way. Conor could also fight the winner of Ferguson versus Chandler, just a thought, just to add to his career before making another run at the lightweight title. Last thing that I think would be best for Conor is to move up a weight class in the welterweight division, rack a couple of wins, and fight for the 3rd title. And then he can ride off into the sunset. That would be an exceptional legacy for Conor if he continues and if he's completely motivated and positive about his future in his legacy. We just have to see and wait, but this is exciting news. Now that we have covered the lightweight division and the potential matchups that could be fun to watch in the future, I appreciate you watching. This is a series that I would like to continue in the future for Royall MMA Tube and Royall MMA News. I am your host now. If you really enjoy this content, please subscribe to the channel or leave a like button or even share this content. And till next time, guys, love yourself, love everyone else besides you. Peace out.